So yeah, we got it. We're going to start the meeting. I'll call the meeting. It's now 10:01. We'll start with roll call. Jessica Clayton with County Commissioner Mon's office.
District 1, Commissioner Carrie Wilmer's office.
Colt Murphy, District 3.
The notice of the meeting was properly posted on July 15th. We'll start with number 1, discussion and possible action regarding approval of the minutes of June 26th.
Motion to approve.
I abstain. I wasn't here for the last meeting and I haven't had a chance to review the recording.
Okay, I'll second that motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Abstain.
Okay, number 2 is discussion and possible action regarding selection of the July 2024 BOCC Employees of the Month. We have an option A and an option B, so that makes our selection very easy. We've got great candidates.
That's it. Just
Okay.
two. Thank you.
Do I have a motion for option A and B?
Yeah, motion for option A and B for Employee of the Month.
I second A and B.
Okay, got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, number 3 is discussion and possible action regarding our policies, processes, procedures, and status reports related to the planning, oversight, and administration of Oklahoma County's grant programs. Ms. Nikki Morton.
Good morning, guys. I have nothing new to report today, unless you have any specific questions for me.
I do have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
You mentioned in the last meeting there was a DEQ application that was due at the end of June. Did all 3 districts, were they able to apply?
One district did apply. The other 2 districts did not have a need for the funding.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions? Okay. Thank you, Nikki.
Have a great day.
You too. Number 4 is discussion and possible action regarding policies, procedures, processes, and status reported related to the oversight and administration of Oklahoma County ARPA funding allocation. Morning, Danielle.
Good morning. I'm going to grab the All right. So it looks like a long agenda today, but it's not too terribly bad. So we'll walk through our general fund status, a little bit of a reporting update on our quarterly and annual reporting, our ongoing work plan for the next 6 months, our county project updates, and then our community project updates. So overall, you have authorized 85 total projects. This includes internal projects and your subrecipient projects. There are 42 county projects and 44 of the subrecipient projects, and that's including like your detention center, PBA projects in those numbers, but that hasn't changed. Your fully expended number has increased though. That went from 48 to now to 52. So you have closed, not formally closed out, but moving closer to a closeout on more of your projects. Your authorized amount remains the same, but your obligated and your expended have both increased since the last time. And a lot of that is in part because the funds from the salary and benefits for the sheriff's department have been formally moved out of the 1415 account and into your general fund. And so that increased your obligations and your expenditures on those two. Are there any questions on the fund status?
I don't have any questions.
Awesome. So this takes us into updates on reporting. So you can see we're pretty much at that middle mark currently where we're at with reporting for both your annual report and for your quarterly report. So at the end of this month, both of those will be due, and then we'll continue. You have 10 more reports that are for the quarterly reporting until the end of this program. And then after this annual report, there will be 3 more. So just kind of giving you a reminder where we're at in that process. We will be submitting, like I said, both of those at the end of this month. Things are really on track, collecting just a couple more KPIs and adding them into the report. And then we'll be able to share it with each of you. And then, of course, it gets uploaded into the Treasury portal and also onto the county's ARPA website. This is just a quick overview of the report since we have not been able to share the final copy with you all yet, just kind of giving you an outline of what it's going to look like. So as you all know, in 2021, the ARPA funds were designated and created through the coronavirus state, local fiscal and recovery funds. And then in 2022, our final rule takes place and it lays out all of these reporting requirements and including having this annual report. And so this report, what it does is it talks about all of the projects that the county has awarded and how they're impacting the community around you. So it's giving anyone in the community that's interested, the Treasury Department that might be interested, just an overview of kind of what's going on in Oklahoma County. These are the different parts within the program report. So you have very basic pieces like your executive summary, general final rule updates for kind of your community members that might be reading the report that aren't familiar with ARPA. So this kind of gives them the history and makes them understand what the point of the report is. And then talks about your use of funds. That's going to be your big piece, talking about each of your individual projects, which is broken out into each of their expenditure categories. And then we'll talk a little bit about other federal funds that Oklahoma County receives and how coupling those funds together makes a large county-wide impact. We'll talk about the equitable outcomes that are coming from the funds that are being pushed into the community and the improvements that are being made here in the physical Oklahoma County building. We talk a little bit about the community engagement and the ripple mapping pieces. So that really shows and demonstrates how the county has taken a lot of community input into this process and prioritized the constituents throughout this. And then, of course, just letting people know that you are following and abiding by labor practices, what the use of evidence would be on some of your projects, and then general compliance, and then walking through your project inventory. So this is your breakdown per section. So this breaks down your EC. So you have funded within public health, negative economic impacts, public sector capacity, premium pay, infrastructure. Then you have your revenue replacement, and then administrative, which is your consultants and administrative. The fun part of the annual report is highlighting, like I said, all of the things that go on in Oklahoma County to really prioritize the community. So we have highlighted the ripple mapping workshop that went on and how we collaboratively identified all of the different programs in Oklahoma County and how they are more interconnected than you might would realize. We've talked about the training and compliance webinars that we do with all of our subrecipients so that they stay up to date on reporting and monitoring requirements. We did several application workshops. So this was at the beginning when we opened the portal on the front side. We did do a district-specific workshop in each of the districts. And then we also did some application workshops at the Accenture office when we reopened the portal the second time. Of course, ongoing support and email through our Oklahoma County ARPA email address and then our individual email addresses as well, keeping up with all of the constituents, both that are subrecipients and individuals in the community that just have general ARPA questions. And then talking about the application guidebook that was put together for anyone that was applying, talking about our issue-specific listening sessions that we did in each of the districts, and then, of course, selecting that district-level input. And we always have the Mentimeters when we do any of these activities and when we do our compliance webinars, so that we can get input from the members of the community and find out how they feel that those went and if there should be any improvement. So there's been a lot of great work that Oklahoma County has done in the community to stay engaged. Just kind of looking at the numbers in your report, you have 62 of your internal projects, you have 24 of your external. So That's your, including in your internal, there's your PBA and your detention center project. So that's why it's a little bit higher. You have your external project. Again, that total of 85 projects. You have 23 community subrecipients. One of them has 2 projects, so that's why there's 23 of those, but 24 external projects. And then we do have 3 canceled projects. So that's your COVID testing, which was just no longer needed. That's your New Day recovery. And then today we will cancel the HVAC project because we will code it under revenue replacement, but we'll talk about that in a minute. So overall, you have 52 projects that are 100% expended. You have 17 that are more than 50% expended. You have 8 that are less than 50% expended, and 8 that just haven't quite started. So that walks us through the annual report, and now we will go into the work plan unless there are questions. All right, so this is just your general overview. As you can see, we're in July, and it's heavy right now. We are doing a lot of site visits while we're on this week, and then we, of course, are tracking for the annual and quarterly reporting. And then as we get closer into August and September, we're going to start looking at making sure we have our new subrecipients selected, but we'll break that down a little bit more. So right now in July, mostly focused on our annual reporting. And then, like I said, as we get into August, we'll spend that whole month trying to get subrecipient contracts through as quick as we possibly can and get the agreements on the earliest BOCC as possible. That in August would be the 5th, but we are not saying that all of your agreements need to be ready by the 5th, but that just gives you the first place where we can start putting them on if you are ready. And then, of course, we will continue with our site visits into next month as well. This is kind of the overarching overview of your obligation timeline. So as you know, at the end of this year, all of your funds have to be obligated. And so this is kind of breaking down how we're thinking about the next few months. So the first possible, subrecipients that we think would pass BOCC would be on that August 5th date. So that's in 25 days. And then we are thinking that ideally the majority of subrecipients agreements will pass budget board in September. So that's the 26th. So that's in 77 days. And then getting into November 1st, that's our preferred obligation deadline. Just kind of gives us time to prepare if we need to do some additional transferring or we have new agreements that need to come into place. That gives us about 60 days to get that taken care of. So that November 1st is our preferred deadline. But our real deadline is, of course, going to be the 31st. But if we can't meet the November 1st, we're kind of pushing for the December 20th. You have the holiday right there. And then again, any of those kind of last minute things that might need to be taken up. So this gives you a more realistic sense of how many days are left before final obligation. And this breaks that same thing down. It's just more detailed into what will be occurring within each of those months. So we are here in July. We'll finish out quarterly reporting. We'll finish out annual reporting. Each of the offices will begin selecting their subrecipients. We'll go through the contracting process through August and September. And then in October, potential surge work if we have reallocation of projects that have rollbacks or projects that are completed and have a little bit of additional funds that are coming back. So potential surge work into October, preferably getting everything taken care of in November, and then just nice buttoning things up into December. So that walks us through the next 6 months. Are there any questions on the work plan? Awesome. Okay, so we'll talk about our projects now. Your internal county projects are moving great. As I mentioned, your sheriff payroll and benefits projects, those funds have been formally moved out of the 1415 account, which is why your obligation and your authorized amounts have increased. So those are pending closeout. We'll go through the formal closeout process, just have them say there are no more expenditures. They sign the form, and then we bring it to you guys so you can close it, and then we formally close it into the Treasury portal. We'll do the same thing with the first Accenture contract. You have done an extension, but that's on a separate project code, so we'll close out the first project in the portal as well. We'll talk again about the HVAC project on the next agenda item, but what we're going to do here is we're going to formally close out that project through its project code of 10073. The project is not being canceled. It's going to continue to move forward. We're going to code it differently in the Treasury portal under revenue replacement. It just has a separate category, but the county can continue to use that same project code for its metrics. There's no need to change that. This is just kind of checking your boxes in the Treasury portal. And then I know the county is looking at some record retention as well, and we have done an eligibility assessment of that, and it is an eligible use of funds to improve the public delivery of government programs and services. So as that conversation is ongoing, just want to let you know we have looked at that, and I won't walk through your infrastructure updates since this is just update that your owner chart basically gives, and I just follow, so I won't walk through that, but kind of gives you an idea of the upcoming projects that are closing out in the county. And then we have a ton of projects that are closing out in the community, which is really exciting. So while we're on site, we have several site visits. Yesterday, we met with the city of Bethany, and we were able to do their closeout visit. So this was for water meter replacement. They were able to, with their ARPA funds, implement 260 new water meters in the community. So that's really exciting. And that took them through phase 2 of that project. So they've got some other pieces of that they're looking at, and they'll fund that in other ways. But the county portion was 260 homes, which is great. We will also be going out to the town of Luther. Their project is for the purchase of a fire engine, and they are not quite completed with that requisition yet, or that procurement yet, but we'll go out there and just make sure that they feel comfortable and that everything is moving along. And then we will also be seeing the fairgrounds as well. Your pending closeout, so this is based on the quarterly reporting we have received. These organizations have each said, we have spent all of our funds, which is really exciting. So we will be preparing for the City Care, Hope, North Care, Griffin Memorial, Edmond Mobiles, and then the community health centers as well. They have all closed out their projects, so that's really exciting as well. We'll be able to move those into a closed status in the portal, and we'll be able to close those out as we're tracking as well. And that really walks us through all of your updates today, unless there are questions.
I have a question.
Mhm.
If anyone is curious about accessing the annual report, how would someone go about doing that?
So on the Oklahoma County webpage, like your general Oklahoma County webpage, there is an ARPA form, not web link. You can click on it. It's right on the front. It says American Rescue Plan Act. And when you click on that, it'll take you to the ARPA page, and all of the recovery plans are listed on that website. There's 3 on there for the past, like, current seasons, and then we'll have the most up-to-date one at the end of this month on there as well. So that's all accessible through the Oklahoma County webpage.
Thank you.
Okay, I have a motion to receive report.
Second. Oh, motion to receive report.
Second,
All in favor?
I
Aye.
Okay, and then number 5 is the discussion in regards to the detention center HVAC, ARPA project 10073.
Yes, ma'am. So as we touched on a little bit, we are going to formally close or cancel this project in the Treasury portal, and then we will be reporting it under revenue replacement. So we no longer need this project to be open. So we'll do a cancellation here. The project will, like I said, continue to move forward. The county can still code it as the 10073. We've talked with Chantel, and she's aware that she can keep using that project code, but we will be putting it under revenue replacement. Like I said, it's really just checking a different box.
Have a motion?
Motion to
Formally cancel ARPA.
formally cancel ARPA fund project
Project
10073 and create a new HVAC project.
second,
All in favor?
I
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Danielle. I appreciate all your hard work and thorough reporting. Okay, do I have any citizen participation? Seeing none. Any board comments? Lou?
None.
Well, I just want to take a moment to thank you for being up here. This is
Thank
Lou's
you.
first time on the Horseshoe, and you've done an
Yes.
awesome job representing
you.
District 1, and we just appreciate you taking the time to be here.
I'm honored to be here. Thank you.
And I appreciate all your questions.
Thank you.
I'm done.
None? Okay. Any new business? Seeing none?
Motion to adjourn.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.